Welcome back to Crunch Time. It's week 13, and we're ready to bring you all the
Wow,
best info we got. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. Season just go by
dude, it's
so
been so
fast.
fast. Yeah.
Uh, I am, of course, as you know, Santiago Casanova, and I'm joined today by Psych Ward FF, aka Matt Ward, aka the BRoto Fantasy lead writer. How are you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, good. It's still real dark here. I'm on the West Coast, but it's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
good day. Good start to the day.
Awesome. Let's get right in with some breaking news and players that are out because some big news yesterday came in, especially regarding Jalen Hurts, who is not declared out as it was reported, but a game time decision. Not looking great for him.
Yeah, it's Minshew mania.
That's gonna be crazy after all this time. But I'm ready for it. For one, I'm here for it.
I think there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. And against the Jets already, Miles Sanders is going to be a heck of a play today.
Yeah, Boston Scott on that note is probable to play.
I think
Jordan
he's.
Howard is out.
Hmm.
So that's the current backfield situation. Boston got likely to play Miles Sanders locked and loaded against a terrible defense, and Kenneth Gainwell. Well, he took a backseat role in the past couple of weeks, so we don't really know what's going on there. Um, some other notable players that are coming back or are declared injured. We know DeAndre Swift is not playing. We know McCaffrey is not playing. But for example, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, who both are coming back from injury this week,
Hmm.
are considered like questionable. And Kyler Murray is expected to play, but DeAndre Hopkins is expected to have a limited role. That's where we
Yeah,
stand right now.
that's yep. Weather in Chicago right now is pretty terrible too, apparently.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. So it's not the best situation for them to come back. I hate it because it's week 13. You're probably relying on one of them to get you to that last playoff push, and them coming back not 100% and in a bad weather is just a killer, honestly. Other than that, I think those are the big news. If any more big news come in throughout the show, we will let you know. Right now, I'm just gonna list some of the players that are expected to play, like questionable and expected to play, or not expected to play as it stands right now. Again, we'll give you the updates when it's time. But right now, James Robinson is expected to play right now. Um, Darrell Henderson is a game time decision. They will look at him before the game. If he can't go, Sonny Michelle is an interesting option. I think. I mean, not the best, but if you need to plug in someone, not the worst. I know I'm in a couple of tough situations where that could be useful. So, Clyde Edwards Hilaire is questionable with non-injury illness, so that's not great because last time he was active but with an illness, he just sat on the sidelines with his helmet on. So, it's not the best situation to have. Like we said, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Brandon Cooks is questionable but expected to play, which is it's big. I'm a big Cooks proponent, so
Yeah, got
you
some good
know
cooks, man.
about that. David
Yeah,
Johnson is likely out, and that's about it. So let's get this
that's what
show
I've got right
started.
now too.
Awesome. All right, let's start with the questions. Big Will
Morning,
says,
Will.
"Well, good
Morning.
morning. How are you? How are you, Will? Always a great time." He has one question. Need help with my flex. Half PPR, Mooney Bateman or Rex Burkhead? Uh, hmm. I'm leaning Mooney here,
I,
probably.
I think, yeah, I think that's the volume play for sure. I mean,
Hmm.
the I think over like since he's seen his target jump, it's him and Deontay Johnson like are essentially locked and loaded for the league in targets
Yeah,
over
it's
the
insane.
last 3 or 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean Mooney's the volume play there. I do like Bateman. I don't think Burkhead gets much of an upgrade with DJ out. Like it's
No.
that offensive line is just so terrible. It doesn't matter if he's going to get 5, 6 more touches. Might be good for an extra 2.5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Mm.
I think we lean Mooney for a volume play.
And
Yeah,
he has the upside play too. Like it's not like he's just capped with dinks and dunks. He has that upside. We've seen
right.
him
Like
just
yeah,
break a
he'll
long one
right. Absolutely.
for sure. So yeah, I think Mooney is a play here, Will. So good luck with that. Hopefully it works out. Another one from BRoto patron Jake from IT. Good morning. Yeah, we're starting a half hour earlier as requested last time. So we're doing an hour and a half this time instead of 1 hour. So we can get to more questions. Need to start a running back in place of Swift. Options are Breida, Scott, Michelle, or Drake, half PPR. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one.
Uh, I do think Breida's a kind of a sneaky play. New England's defense is really like phenomenal, but the one place they lack as far as fantasy production goes is against the running back.
Yeah.
But on that note, I think I might lean Boston Scott here. I think I might lean
Hmm.
Boston Scott for whatever touch he gets against that Jets defense is going to be more valuable than the
Yeah.
touches that Breida gets against the Patriots.
Yeah, I like that honestly. Uh, if Darrell Henderson is declared out, do you consider Michelle over
That's
Scott?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would. Yep, definitely. Just for like the upside of being the 60% back in the
Yeah,
field
yeah,
where we know Sanders is going to suit up. I guess he was questionable early in the week, so it should be a split backfield with him and Scott. But I like those touches against the Jets. Um, it's
yeah,
tough when game time decisions like that because I think
yeah. Just checking, and it's a late game,
I was just
so
about to say I think it's the
yeah,
late
we're
plate.
we're in trouble.
Right. I mean, if any news comes in earlier that Henderson is out, I would definitely lean Michelle there.
If no news, Scott, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I like Scott today. I like that play a lot. I'll
Uh,
take any running back against the Jets right now. They've
man,
been
it's
like one of the
insane.
only consistent like matchups that like even and I guess even like Burkhead and DJ like didn't
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
but that's so
Yeah.
everybody
If they make
everybody.
DJ and Burkett startable at least for 1 week in fantasy, that
Right.
it's bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, Boston Scott is definitely not a terrible option. He is coming back from injury, so not maybe not the greatest spot, but it's still the Jets. So what can you do?
Yeah, and I'm just Josh Jacobs has eaten into Kendrick Drake's playing time so much lately.
Hmm,
I I mean, obviously the coaching switch had a lot to do with that too, but I
for
didn't
sure.
expect that coming. It's almost gotten to like a 70-30 spot now.
Yeah, it's bad.
Um, and yeah, I think it's between Scott and Michelle there for me. And I like Scott's upside against that defense, but it's pretty hard to deny if you know a guy's going to get starters touches too.
Yeah, that's the only problem we have right now is scheduling. So,
Yeah.
uh, instead of taking the risk, because it's a pretty big risk, I would just go with Scott and feel moderately good about it. I'm not too nervous. So, yeah, it sucks Swift went down, but it is what it is. All right. Well, we went for a couple more questions. How about we talk about our sleepers and busts for this week? I know you had some. You had tight ends, right? Correct.
Yeah, yeah. I
All
also
right.
did I did some start sit player picks with the DFF guys this week too. So
Oh,
I
nice, nice.
I wanted to make sure I get a little extra preparation in for today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's all the commitment. All right. Why don't you tell us about Foster Moreau?
Oh, easy man. Like yeah, I think the like how I compared him to was like Alexander Madison
Mm,
is he's if the starter's healthy, like you're basically not going to see him on the field, but as soon as the starter goes down, you're supplementing in the exact same production lines. Like
yeah, yeah.
in Foster's one game without Waller, it was 6 targets, 6 catches, 80 yards and a touchdown. Like,
Yeah, insane,
and I
insane.
mean, yes, usually we're used to a little higher ceiling than or from Waller than that, but that's what we've been getting from him all year too. So like that's just it. It's that almost invaluable handcuffing to be able to just if Waller's out, you just slide Moreau in and you're going to get a 12-point floor.
I agree 100%. I picked up Moreau in a bunch of leagues. I'm starting him in a bunch of leagues. Titan premium, non-Titan premium. I'm a big believer in
I'm
that volume.
flexing him in a couple of leagues
Oh yeah,
actually. Yeah, yeah, like places that I have like Mark Andrews starting at tight end. Like I'm gonna flex Moreau. Yeah,
yeah. That he does have a ton of upside this week, and really like it. Last time Waller was out, I was not a big fan of Moreau. I think I recommend start Command over him. They did almost the same, but Moreau was just lights out when in that role. So
yeah,
I'm a believer now. You can believe that.
yeah. The kid's like again, yeah. Like in the article, I said if there was ever an argument for handcuffing tight ends, it's Foster Moreau. Like
I think that's a little much for regular fantasy, but
that's
yeah.
for sure.
All right, we have one from C Freakman. He says full PPR. Harrison, Gage, or Myers? Is that Damian Harris? Yeah, well, yeah, Deontay already played, so
Yeah, it's got to be.
not Sutton. I'm
Well,
gonna
it's not
start with
Najee
that.
Harris, is it?
No, no way. Well,
Yeah,
if it is
exactly.
Najee
Like,
Harris, you start Najee
yeah,
Harris.
exactly. Like that's
If not,
yeah,
that's probably Damon Harris. He's around the range of those guys.
yeah.
What do you think?
Um, I'm legitimately not starting a Patriot this week against the
Hmm.
Bills. Like that's kind of just
So
where that.
Myers is also not
Yeah, yeah.
there.
So it's essentially Sutton or Gage, and
Interesting.
oh man, that one hurts. Like, because I was a pretty big proponent of Cortland Sutton,
Hmm.
especially after those first few weeks, and Judy went down, and he looked really good in that like increased role, and then Tim Patrick kind of just started being too consistent. Like,
Yeah, that was
um,
weird.
yeah, like he's just, I mean, he's just Mr. Reliable. So that one's tough. I'm almost leaning Gage. Like I don't like him too much. I'm not too worried about that matchup though. Uh, yes, Sutton's floors. I guess they're both of their floors are so terrifying.
It's terrible. If you want floor, Damian Harris is still the answer. I don't know. I know you don't
Right.
want Patriots, but Damian
Yeah.
Harris has the I don't know
The
eight,
safest floor.
9, 10 points for floor. It's full PPR, which is not the best for Harris, but I still think he is the most solid option out of those because I don't want to start Gage. I don't want to start Sutton. I don't want to start
No, that's fair.
Myers even. Myers, if it was a different matchup, maybe, but not right now. So my answer is Damian Harris.
I guess White is out, but like he like Tredarius, he doesn't like he's not like a shadow corner really. He'll cover one side of the field.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he stays on the far left and left flank. Like he's not really a roaming shadow like
But
other.
it's still the Bills. Like
That's what I mean though.
not
Like
just
it's
oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's not
that's
just
that's the
white.
point that I'm trying to make
Yeah, for
exactly. Like
sure.
it's not just White. He doesn't just lock down like
Absolutely.
one position. It's that
Yeah,
that defense is terrifying.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, if I had to pick, I'm going Harris with that.
Yeah, so I'll say that too. I'll say I guess it's a floor versus ceiling. If you're looking for safety, I think Harris is the obvious play there, and I'll take Sutton over Gage
Well,
for the
you know
for the
what?
boom.
Uh, just looking at it, full PPR makes me not want to touch Harris. I
You
mean, I'm
want
sorry, going
Gage? That's
maybe.
I mean, I think okay. So for me, that's
Great
even in
question,
full
by the way.
PPR. Yeah, obviously. I think even in full PPR for me, if I'm just looking for a slot in of safety to keep the averages rolling, I'll take Harris. I think the boom play, if
Fair,
you're
fair.
looking for upside, is Sutton.
I don't know about Sutton because I know you like him and you have that like well he has that potential and we've seen him do, but recently he's just not being the same guy, and I don't think he has that same potential right now.
Hmm,
If
that's fair.
anything, I
That's
would
fair.
consider Gage as the boom. So we can agree on Harris for floor. and gauge for upside?
Yeah, I think that there's yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you have our answer. Hopefully, it wasn't too confusing, and you can make the
That's a
right
tough
decision.
question, man. I still
Yeah,
do
it
like
was really
Sutton.
tough.
I guess the Chiefs have kind of looked a little better lately on defense too. I'm still playing that matchup in my mind, like you can just burn those safeties, and
Mm,
that's Sutton's MO.
yeah.
Um,
Hey, you might
but
be right,
it,
honestly, but
well, in reality though, that Saints defense has kind of come together over the last couple weeks. Like they just, I mean, they pull Sorensen down into the box and just refuse to make him play too deep coverage now, which probably should have happened a long time ago. But yeah, they're looking a lot better in those two shells, and certainly the rushing defense has turned up too, which I'm sure we'll get here eventually. But I'm a little Javonte Williams is it might not be the big 220 or two
yeah,
touchdown
I mean,
120-yard performance that
people are
everybody
blowing it
wants.
out of proportion, but I think he's gonna have a
100%.
decent game.
I think he's going to have a great game. I just don't think it's
Yeah,
going to be that
for
like
sure.
when Jonathan Taylor really broke out, like, and I mean I guess you could say week 14, but like even just call it like that week 15, 16, 17 stretch. Like
Mm-hmm.
the kid was, the kid had a 200-yard game. Like that's a real like that's a breakout, and that's what people want from Javonte. And I don't know that that's coming today.
Yeah, expectations are high, but just temper them. But he's still a good play, especially in
I
DFS.
think
I like him.
I think he's a great play, and I think he's a great start. And I even when Melgo was healthy, I was flexing Javante
For
almost
sure,
every week. So
for sure. All right, moving on with another one from Big Will. He says, Dynasty half PPR. Need to bench two between Godwin, Hollywood Brown,
bench two,
Higgins, Renfro, and Pittman. Bench two, not start two. So this is
right?
interesting. What a great team, by the way. If
Yeah, you're
you're,
just stacked. You're just flexing on us now,
I'm
Will.
not sitting Godwin. I'm
Oh,
not sitting Hollywood Brown. It's between the other three, if anything,
yeah,
because I'm leaning Higgins and sitting Renfro and Pittman.
I'm definitely playing. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play. I'm playing Godwin against the Falcons for sure. I'm playing Hollywood against the Steelers for sure.
Yes, indeed.
So that's out of the way. So Higgins, Renfrew, or Pittman.
I kind of want to start Higgins here, honestly. After last week, especially, I'm
Yeah,
excited of that.
I was almost thinking actually Pittman was the sit here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Renfro and Pittman for the sit.
yeah.
Well, there's
I mean,
one thing though.
Renfro is a tough sit lately.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna say because they were also playing Washington, who is a terrible defense against
Right.
wide
Yep.
receivers,
Yeah.
and Bengals are playing the Chargers, who are actually tough. Although Samuel is out, Asante Samuel Jr. is out for this game, which is significant.
And they'll probably. I mean, I would assume, seeing the success that other teams have had over the last 4 weeks doing it, I would assume that yeah, the opposite side. Sorry, thinking of formation. Yeah, they're gonna bracket Jamar Chase. They're gonna bracket Jamar Chase all game. They're gonna have a safety on top of him and a corner in front of him
Hmm,
all game.
hmm.
Which that's my point to that is I
That
think Higgins is still a good play.
yeah, that's good for Higgins. You know what? At first glance, I thought this was simple, but maybe not so much. I mean, yeah, you're starting Godwin and Brown, but the other
Yeah.
three are pretty equal in their situations right now. Renfro has been on fire and he gets a good matchup. Pittman has been decent and has a decent matchup. Higgins has been fairly good, especially last game, and has a bad matchup. So what do we do? Well, decent, mediocre
I
matchup, like you said.
yeah, I think and I'm a big MPJ like or Michael Pittman Jr. fan.
Yeah.
I really like that kid, and I mean, not to victory lap too much, but I definitely predicted a sophomore breakout for him. He's got
Mm.
loads of talent, but that matchup against Houston is encouraging because the defense is bad, but the game script isn't going to be good. Like they could put Naheem Hines in there and rush for 150 yards.
Well, maybe, probably, but yeah, it's it's gonna be the Taylor show,
Like,
probably.
yeah, yeah. Well, like I mean, I don't see a ton of volume and scoring opportunities for Pittman in this game. Yeah,
All right, so you're
I
sitting
yeah, I think
Pittman.
it's I think it's Pittman and you can flip that coin on Higgins and Renfro. I like Higgins. I like Higgins this week.
Oh, you
And he
like him? Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I do too, but Renfro. I mean, oh man, I
It's
really
just
like his matchup
mhm.
against Washington, and he's been on fire. He averages more points than Higgins all season per game. I think they're like at 13.1 for Higgins and 14 for Renfro or something like that. And just thinking matchup, I think I want to start Renfro after having that information. So if it were me, I'd go Godwin, Hollywood Brown, and Renfro.
Yeah, and I'm saying Godwin, Hollywood Brown, Renfro or Higgins.
All
Yeah.
right, yeah, we
It's
got
that's
two out of
tough.
three in agreement.
I've got a little bias towards that matchup right now.
Yeah,
It just I guess it looks uglier than I think it is on paper. I like T Higgins this week.
mm.
I like him as the number one wide receiver on that offense this week.
I mean, hopefully that's true because I have him in a very important league and I need
Yeah,
him
me
to
too,
blow
man.
up.
Yeah, the bias is definitely self-inflicted.
Yeah, but yeah, Will, you have two out of three in agreement, and then we presented our arguments for the remaining two, so you can make your decision there. Hopefully it helps, and good luck. All right, we have one from Andrew Crochet. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Good morning, fellas. Pretty much a must start win for me. Yeah, it pretty much is that way during week 13, 14, 12. I have Henderson, oof, Miles Sanders plugged in. Would you guys drop Sanders to pick up Michelle? Absolutely not.
No
No,
way.
no way. No, Sanders gets the Jets, so that's as good as it's gonna get for Sanders, and he almost rushed for 100 yards against the Saints. So just imagine what he can do against the Jets
Miles Sanders has our number, man. Like Miles Sanders just cooks the Saints for some reason.
every year.
Yeah, it makes no sense. We average like 75 yards rushing to opponents per game, and then Miles Sanders comes in and just puts up a 100 burger on us like every year. It's annoying.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
think
on that note against like Sony Michelle, like Sony Michelle would be a 1 week play. I think Miles
at
Sanders is going to
most
at most exactly. I think Sanders is obviously going to continue to be utilized more as he gets back up to game speed from the injury as well.
for sure.
Sirianni has been running the ball a bunch when Sanders was gone. I don't see that going away in the future. And yeah, the Jets are averaging 35 points a game to
Insane,
running backs right now.
insane.
Like, yeah, 34.8. I'm looking at your
Mm,
DPOA. Yeah,
nice.
34.8. So
But
that's
yeah,
just incredible, man.
even if you had both on your team already, I would start Sanders over Michelle without question.
100%.
So it's not either for this week or the future. I'm going with Sanders every time.
100%.
So there you go, Andrew. Good luck with that. Hopefully you get a blow up week and win. Big Will says, I'm here for the Javonte Williams breakout game today. All aboard the Javonte Express.
Oh well.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
hope
See,
I hope
people are
so.
excited.
I hope it's a legit breakout. I really do. I mean, it's not. I'm not like I don't root against any player, even if like I root against maybe like my head-to-head matchup in fantasy,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah,
root against any player necessarily. So yeah, like
for sure.
for everybody that's excited, I want Javante to have 200 yards and 3 TDs. Like
Yeah,
it's just I'm wary and I'm tapering my expectations on them for sure.
agree 100%. That's how you got to play it. Then he talks a little bit about the dynasty team we analyzed, and he says it's filled with stacked wide receivers, but running backs were Swift and Chase Edmonds. Oof. Now it's
Now
Drake and Boston
starting
Scott.
Drake and Boston Scott. That's less than ideal. I mean, I'm with you on that, Will. I went 9-0 in my
Oof.
league, and then I sent the like I am inevitable gift to the group chat, and now I'm 9-3, and it's Swift, Cook, Murray, Hopkins. Like it's just a like everybody that led me to that 9-0 record are just gone. Like
Yeah, crazy.
yeah,
That's the sad part of fantasy.
yeah.
All right, we have Andrew saying thank you. So you're
Oh,
welcome.
cheers, brother.
Hopefully, you win. Enjoy the games. Have a great Sunday. And now we have time to talk a little bit more about your bust pick this week.
Yeah, I think I kind of like insinuated it earlier, but I'm just prepared to fade the entire Patriots offense this week. Yeah, especially like again, it's getting to the point in the year that I am like concerned about weather and games and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's cold and raining in Buffalo. Um, as you know, as much as Mac Jones has been a phenomenal game manager and has won them 6 games in a row, and clearly looks like the best rookie quarterback on or in the NFL for fantasy purposes, he's just not producing high passing numbers.
yep,
And Henry is like almost every touch or almost every tight end is rather, but Henry's extremely touchdown dependent. He's
yeah,
not broken double digits unless he scored a touchdown. He doesn't have more than 2 catches in the last 7 games. No more than 5 targets in that time frame as well. So, like, if he doesn't find the end zone, he's not putting up points that you want in your lineup.
for sure.
And against Buffalo, I highly doubt he finds that end zone. And also on that note, Johnny was the one that was saw less snaps but more targets last game.
Interesting. That dynamic is certainly something to keep an eye on the rest of the year and the few weeks we have left, because it's been confusing all year. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know who the guy is, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and the whole follow the money thing just did not work with that
I
offense.
mean, well, they got paid exactly the same amount of money, so
Yeah, well, like, and I guess I was just kind of like referring to, I mean, Kendrick Bourne's blowout too. Like,
oh
you
yeah,
think, you kind of just think that he's been a depth piece for so long in the league, and now they're using him like as a primary slot receiver, and the results are
crazy.
phenomenal.
I remember his drop days in San Francisco. He just couldn't get away
Yeah,
from the
couldn't
drops,
catch it.
and I wanted none of Kendrick Bourne when he went to the Patriots, and look at him now.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I don't know. I think the Patriots are a sneaky team. Any given week to put like to have one guy put up like
Mm.
big numbers. You know what I mean? Like there's always seems to be that one guy when I'm going through and doing the weekly weigh-ins that it's like, oh, where did these 16 PPR points come from?
Yeah, yeah.
But on that note, I don't think it's Hunter Henry this week.
You know what? I agree. I want to start him. I'm glad I'm not in a situation where I'm considering him in any leagues. I drafted away from Hunter Henry and John Smith for that matter, so I'm not in a
Mhm.
situation where I'm personally concerned about that. So I'm happy. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah. I think this. I mean, it's somewhat of a tangent, but I think Hunter got up to like tight end 3 on the season at one point, and it's still tight end 9. So people are like really
Yeah,
they're relying on those points, and yeah, if you have a viable pivot, that's I think this is the week to do it.
he was. I mean, he was a touchdown machine for a while there, so that just brought his numbers right up. That's what happens with tight ends. You score 3 weeks in a row, and then you're tight end 4 for some reason. So,
Yep. Yeah.
but anyway, we have another one from Andrew. Full PPR flex play: Javante, Jamal Williams, or Ayuk. Go ahead.
Oh.
It's gotta be Javante, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know who I want to say, but yeah, it's Javante. Yeah. Full PPR flex. Yeah, it's Javante. Of
Yeah,
course.
he finally
Yeah.
gets the full.
A full workload. I've been flexing him in like that second or third flex spot anyway,
Exactly.
just for those 10 points. So now that he's, got a 65% snap share in front of him with 15 to 20 touches, like, yeah, you have to play him. He's been incredibly efficient with the amount of touches that he does have. So
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
I
So
want to say Ayuk because that's my guy, but I would obviously start Javante myself.
yeah, I mean, and this week they don't get Debo, so we don't know how that's gonna be for
I think
Ayuk.
I've always felt like Debo helps Brandon Ayuk. Like I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
obviously Shanahan needs to be able to scheme up touches for either one or for Ayuk to be. I don't even want to say scheme up touches. The kid earns his touches,
oh
but
yeah,
but when you're not like writing any routes for him, and he's literally just like setting pick routes and then run blocking on the opposite side, like that's when you know Shanahan's kind of got him in the doghouse, and he's since been out of that for a while, and Debo draws so much attention that Ayuk's been looking really really good lately. I think they complement each other.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I do. That is the thing that I wanted to bring up. Like, is the Debo presence good for Ayuk, or without Debo, is Ayuk going to see a larger involvement in that offense that's going to propel him forward?
Yeah, that's I mean that's definitely a good question. I think with the even though like obviously Mitchell's been eating in that backfield, but like they've been using Debo as a running back more
Hmm,
than a receiver over the last 2 weeks.
crazy.
Like
Yeah.
he's run 5 routes in 2 weeks. Has he went, in that, I guess in his big like last game before he went down with the groin injury, he went 3.5 quarters without a target. Like that was, so he's their running back. Like that's it was always a joke, but they've really leaned into that heavily now. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's insane.
I think without Debo, Ayuk has already been running more routes. He's already had a higher snap percentage. I don't think it's going to increase that much more. I
Hmm.
just think he's going to get more attention from the defense.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, bottom line is start Javante. Be happy
Javante, yeah,
about it.
I just can't not talk about Brandon Ayuk,
For
man.
sure. For sure.
It's too hard.
And Jamal Williams, I'm also always a big fan in the offseason, but honestly, he has been inefficient in his role.
Hmm.
And even if he gets an expanded role, I think he's going to be inefficient in that role as well.
Yep.
So it's not really not worth it. Start him.
Yeah, I'm starting Jamal, pardon me, in the areas that I like had Swift and have to start. Like, I don't have a replacement. His projections are higher than I expected for this week. Yeah, but
Hmm.
it's not a play that I'm excited about.
Yeah, no, for sure not. He's not great. But anyway, there you go. Javante, he's primed for a good week. Hopefully he delivers. All right, it's time for me to talk about my sleepers and busts this
Yeah.
week. Let me tell you, man, they're ugly. I don't know if you've seen them.
I like him.
You like them? All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oof, yeah. Let me start with my sleeper, the man Kenny Galladay. And I know what you guys are thinking because we've seen Galladay just do nothing time and time again in that offense and just be terrible. And trust me, I know I've been rostering him all season in many leagues. But I think with Garrett being gone, he benefits from this. And this week, for example, we have Tony and Shepard both out. So if you get Galladay in a featured role against a super soft Miami defense, this is the only one and only opportunity he has to just tear it up and get you 17, 18 points in PPR. Last time he got a 23% target share, 7 targets, decent weighted opportunity rating adjusted to like the WOPR plus we have on BRoto Fantasy. He did well. So this is, I think, if there was ever a Kenny Galladay week this season, this is it. So I'm putting all my chips in and hoping it's true. And I'm not here looking like an idiot like I did when I told people to draft Kenny Galladay in the offseason. That was rough. But yeah, I think this is Kenny Galladay week. If it doesn't happen, then it's over for him because this is he.
This
The only drawback would be the QB situation because Daniel Jones is out, but I don't think Mike Glennon is that much worse than Daniel Jones at throwing the ball. So uh, I think this is it.
I mean, this might not like. I know how it's going to sound, but I think Mike Glennon might be an upgrade for Galladay from Daniel Jones, both for
I
like
mean,
the target share, which has increased, but
yeah,
also just for like game management. Kenny's going to run a lot of short drag routes,
yep,
and
yep.
Mike Glennon's going to find them.
And I like how you said it because you said he is an upgrade for Galladay, not just an upgrade for the offense, but for Galladay.
Right,
And
specific.
I
Yeah,
think I agree with that. Like target the veteran receiver over and over again. And I mean, he's a veteran receiver that has done a lot of good stuff. He's not just a pile of rocks like some people might want you to believe. He in Detroit, he had a in Detroit, which is especially impressive. He had a couple good seasons. So I mean, this is it. This is where my Kenny Galladay take lives on or dies forever. So hopefully, I can keep going and enduring that pain along the rest of the season. But anyway, we have with this question from Charles Kearney. This morning, guys. Right now, I'm running with Moreau and Fryermuth at tight end and flex. Other options are Fant, Drake, Corey Davis. Do I stick with what I have? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
You were talking about earlier how you were flexing Moreau in a couple leagues, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I would start. I mean, if that question comes down to like who you're starting at tight end with Fant being the other option, I think I'd still start Baby Gronk over Fant. That sounds crazy. I never thought I would say that. And not in a
Heard that.
redraft, not in a redraft league though.
For
Like
sure.
yeah, that's yeah. I mean, usually tight ends, especially like being a dynasty guy, like tight ends, their breakout window is a lot more elongated than other players. Like running backs, you want to see within the first 1 or 2 years. Wide receivers, you'll sometimes give that third year breakout. But if they're face planning as a sophomore or as a freshman, as Bean Counter likes to say, like then obviously those aren't good signs. But Fairmouth is
Yeah.
doing things as a rookie tight end that just aren't supposed to happen.
Insane. I mean, absolutely insane. People
Like,
talk about Kyle Pitts and how he has been doing like having a great tight end season, but also while taking a bunch of snaps outside in the slot, not necessarily in line. Pat
mhm.
Frymer is right behind him, and he does take majority of his snaps in line. So what he's doing is just unprecedented, absolutely crazy.
100%. And with like I guess now that we're on it, I'm excited about the kid. Like that that's just another thing too, is he didn't get over 50% of the snaps until Ebron got hurt and has still put up all of these numbers with the
Yeah,
first six weeks of the
exactly,
season, not being a guy that was seeing 10 targets a game.
exactly. That's
It's it's
just
it's incredible.
crazy.
Pat
So
Fairmouth is the real deal. Like he is the best rookie tight end in the NFL. I don't care. Like
agree, 100%.
yeah.
Being a Steelers fan, I'm extremely happy about that. And then we got the news that Ben Roethlisberger is probably retiring at the end of this year. So
That's going to be really interesting. I don't.
very.
They're gonna. I mean, I guess that would be a topic for a different
Oh
live
yeah, yeah.
show.
We
But
cannot get
yeah,
into that right now.
that's going to be really interesting for sure, especially come draft day.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, and just a comment from Charles, he says, "Want to throw out in one league, I have Swift, Debo, Cook, and Henderson. Team is in shambles right now. Man, that is
That hurts, man.
rough. Yeah."
Yeah,
I mean,
I
with
feel your
that
pain.
team, they're probably in the playoffs at this point
I would
or
hope. Yeah,
close. So if you can hold on for the next couple of weeks and you get Debo back, you get Henderson back probably. Swift, we don't know how long that's gonna take, but just holding on, holding on. If you're in a good position, you can maybe take it all the way. Now we were talking about a little bit. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, but let's dive deeper into it. How do you guys feel about Kyler Murray returning today, especially with the rain condition in Chicago?
um, yeah. I mean, I roster Kyler everywhere.
I know you do.
Anywhere that he was available when the round was coming, like I would just yeah. So for me, it's like I'm obviously going to start him if I don't have like a supplemental option.
Yeah, it depends.
I'm not dropping good players to add a quarterback just to fill in for Kyler's
Mm,
like floor, if
yeah,
that makes sense.
for sure.
Um, but like in one league, I have Derek Carr against Washington. I'm starting Derek Carr. Like that's
I agree.
I'm nervous enough that and most of it actually does come from like the latter thing that Will said. Most of it comes from the rain. Like I don't think that that's going to be, or the rain and the cold. Like I don't think it's going to be conducive to like that offense coming back and being the super high powered, functioning offense that it was
For
before
sure.
Kyler went down with an ankle injury. I think they're going to take a lot of game control, a lot of long series, long drives, try to work the ball in short range. Because
It's gonna
I
be
mean,
interesting. That's for
yeah,
sure.
and Nuke back too. I mean, I'm, I think it's like
A limited Nook. Let's
right,
just,
right. I always like to think too, like if a player's playing, then he's capable of putting up numbers. He's capable of playing. He's feeling good enough to be on an NFL field. But with a pitch count and in the rain, and with him being used as a decoy in that last game that he was hurt, like where they kept just rolling him out and never, like literally just a
yeah,
decoy.
yeah.
And then he hit in like or missed 3 weeks. Like I almost feel like a similar role is coming in.
Could be, could
Yeah.
be. Yeah, definitely not out of question. Just as an intermission, quick intermission. Jalen Hurts is officially out. Now declared out. He
Wow.
was questionable up until this point. Eagles
Yep.
evaluated. They said Hurts is out. Gardner Minshew is in. So there you have it, folks. That's the latest on the Hurts situation. I mean, that's devastating for fantasy, man. Absolutely
Absolutely.
devastating. There's a league where I have Hurts and Tannehill, who's on bye this week. So just I have no QBs. I have to pick up Mike Glennon. Actually, we talked about him a little bit earlier. I have to pick up Mike Glennon, start him in my QB slot because there's no one else left. It's a super flex league where I only start one QB most of the time because I'm of the thought that super flex leagues should be considered more of a one QB league than two QB leagues, just in general. But that's the way I like to play. So Mike Glennon's my starter this week, and I'm gonna have fun. You can believe that.
Yep. Actually,
Uh,
that's I mean, you're stuck with what you're stuck with, I guess. Yeah,
oh yeah,
Hurts is
no choice.
that's yep. I don't know if I'd want to like in that situation too. I was just thinking like, do I want Gardner Minshew over Mike Glennon? Like,
Could be honestly, but Miami
I mean,
defense is
probably
just
not.
so soft, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just
I
having a
probably don't.
tough
Yeah,
time.
I think I would. I think I would take Glennon over Minshew if they were both available for ads right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's that was my thought process last night as well. So that's where we ended up with today. Because it was also I had to get him on waivers. So last night I didn't even have him as a free agent. It's just one of those rolling waivers type of situation, and
Rough.
it's tough, especially when you realize that this stuff on Sunday, right? So you have no other options. Um, anyway, I want to. It's time for me to talk about my bust this week, which might be a little bit controversial, especially for all Jets fans, because my bust was Elijah Moore. And I know he's been on fire lately, but we saw what he did with Zach Wilson back in the lineup last week, and it was not pretty. And I'm not happy to sit or just suggest Elijah Moore as a bust in general, but I don't think he has the potential. He saw 33% of the targets for the Jets last week, and that equated to what? Wide receiver 40 with Zach Wilson. And now they are facing a tougher defense.
Hmm.
And what do you want him? What do you want out of him? There's nothing to like. Tougher defense with probably a reduced target share because that was insane. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. He just gives me a bad feeling this week, and I'm staying away from Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you there. Moore hit the start sit article for Dynasty Football Factory for me as well.
Hmm.
He's just everything about what's been leading up to the game, or like I guess last week's production really, and the matchup. Like he'll get shadowed by Slay
Yeah, yeah.
probably every snap, um, and which is like that that makes me like concerned for. I mean, not that anybody's going to start Zach Wilson either, but Slay's going to shadow Elijah Moore, and Zach Wilson's still going to try to throw it to him, and that's not going to be
Not at all.
good. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's, Slay has been playing very good football. Like
he's
the past couple of weeks, he has been great. So this is definitely not something you want.
yeah, it's just a bad matchup all around.
I felt kind of bad writing the names Kenny Galladay next to Sleeper and then Elijah Moore next to Bust. Not gonna lie, it was not my favorite feeling.
Yeah.
But man, was it necessary? I think so. All right, let's get back to some questions. We have one from John Mueller. He says, start Sanders and Boston Scott against the Jets, or start Henderson if he plays on a limited workload instead of Scott. Man, I want to start Sanders and Scott. Honestly, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely would stack them.
Yeah,
100%.
even
Yeah.
if Henderson is in, but right now he's unlikely to play, doubtful. So
Right. I
not
mean,
not and in a later game, so you don't want to wait for that news and then regret
exactly.
it. So do you agree with the double Eagle stack?
Yeah, I like it. And I mean, even if Henderson does play, whenever it comes to situations not like this, I mean, especially for the insurance of knowing that you have points in your lineup rather than
Yeah,
having to like
yeah.
scamper for an ad. But also like I don't love playing players that are game time decisions that are limited all the way up until
Mm,
like I want to see at least one full practice. Like that's kind of one of my, I guess, bars for if I consider, and obviously star power has a lot to do with it as well, but
yeah,
one of my bars that I like to consider for when setting lineups with injured players is have they practiced at all, like in fully, and not just limited participants and then are now a game time decision.
for sure.
Yeah,
And that's not the case for Henderson at this point. So, and if you have the opportunity to start Sanders and Boston Scott against the Jets, you're pretty much just hedging for vulturing of TDs
right.
or usage shifts. So I think it's a pretty good idea. If you would have done that last week with a much less capable pair with Burkhead and Johnson, you still would have been. Did he say the scoring? No, I mean they would have gotten you around 20 points, I think, in PPR. So that's huge, and it's a very bad pair of running backs. When you have Sanders and Boston Scott together, I think it's a fire combo, and you're hedging against stealing work from one another.
Right, and like I think we said earlier too, like the Jets allow 34.8 combined PPR points or whatever to running
Yeah,
backs. So like that's it. You're hedging the idea of those 34 points are going to be split between those two guys in some fashion, and it's hard to find two players that'll give you almost 35 points in any given day, even if it is like a 30 from one and 5 from the other. It's a nice hedge.
yeah. If you split it by receiving and rushing, they allow 59% points over average to the receiving running back and 60.7% points over average to the rushing running
So
back. That
ugly.
is insane. Insane.
That's
If you
so
have a
ugly.
player that averages 8 points per game, he's gonna get like I mean, according to this, 12 against the Bills. I mean, sorry,
Right.
the Jets. 12 to 13 against the Jets, and that's a huge upgrade. John says that was my thought as well. Great analysis. Hey, I appreciate that. That's what we're here for. Hopefully it works out and it is actually good analysis. But that's what we try to do.
Yeah, hopefully the results match the process, man.
Oh yeah, that's always big. We have another one from Andrew Cruchet. Man, these French American last names give me trouble because they sometimes don't have the French pronunciation anymore. But plug Javonte in at flex with so much love for Ayuk. Would you entertain playing Ayuk over Waddle? Yeah, I mean you're the Ayuk man, but I wouldn't personally.
No, I mean, yeah, it is a lot of like favoritism on my part, but I'm also not like I'm not I try to play with logic as well.
Mm,
Waddle's target share and opportunity in that offense is just
insane.
undeniable. I mean, I'll take the L on my preseason projections for him because I just did not expect him to be this type of player.
Mm,
And a little bit of it came from the ankle injury. Like I thought it would take more time and more, like he might need the whole year to get back into, especially like game speed, let alone NFL game speed. But
yeah, yeah.
I mean, he he leads the NFL in routes run.
Interesting. I
Yeah,
did not know that.
yeah.
That's
Jalen
that's
Waddle runs
crazy.
more routes than anybody in the NFL.
Wow. Okay.
So
I
yeah,
saw you post about it, but I wouldn't take a guess because I know I was gonna be wrong. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I mean, yeah. Again, I didn't expect him earning this type of target share. Um, Devontae Parker is active, I believe.
oh, that is true. Yes, but I don't think that takes
But
away from him.
if that was what was maybe giving you a little bit of hesitation there, I don't think that that's going to be an
Yeah,
impact.
no. I mean, I love Ayuk this week as well, but Waddle's just on a different planet right now,
Yeah,
and you have to ride the high. So I'm
yeah.
sticking with Waddle. I have a little piece of trivia for you. Without looking it up, how many points per game is Waddle averaging in PPR?
14 and like 14.6.
You're pretty close. It's actually 15,
Ah,
15.2.
damn.
15.3, sorry.
That's
But it's
wow.
crazy for a rookie wide
Yeah,
receiver.
100%. I mean, a lot of the like the talking head in the media, like people have almost like quieted about rookie wide receivers because Jamar Chase is taking all the attention and then falling
Yeah,
off, so
yeah,
taking
yeah.
all of that attention as well. But like Jalen Waddle is very close. If not, I mean, if extrapolation plays into it, like he will surpass Jamar Chase's rookie numbers this season
for sure.
at the pace that they're playing at right now after those like last 4 games specifically.
Yeah, I think Chase going forward, maybe not this season, but going forward, might edge Waddle out in the future. But right now, it's not close
No, yeah.
particularly. It's Waddle, just taking off right now. It's insane. He's gonna be a second round pick at most next year in redraft. So that's crazy. You mentioned earlier that you did some stuff for to prepare for the show with which call it like starts and scrubs, something like that.
Yeah, it's like it's called Sykes picks. It's just like
Hmm.
yeah, starts and sits. Essentially essentially a little bit of what we do with the sleepers and busts, but there's kind of just a different slant on it, I guess. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on some of your picks for that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, sure. Starts for like quarterbacks. I'm favoring. I like Derek Carr against Washington a lot. He was also one of my big starts a couple weeks ago that paid off. I'd liked to keep Carr on my roster this season. It seems usually
Hmm.
I'd cut him after he fills in once, but I kind of am liking the insurance of that
Interesting.
guaranteed.
Yeah,
You know,
he's a decent backup for
yeah,
situations where Hurts can't go or you get a
or
buy fill
Kyler
in.
for my
Yeah,
for my
exactly.
personal.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Russell Wilson a little bit this week, and I know that's a tough one to sell people on, especially with the like. I mean, the way he's been playing. um,
Yes,
but
there's that.
I like the matchup. I like the yeah, I like the potential of him to like. He's just going to keep getting more healthy. He's just going to keep getting
Yeah, yeah.
better. And the OC said this once earlier in the season, but they were like, "We got to get DK the ball more." And then the next game, DK had 11 targets. So they said that again this week, and I'm hoping like, which would I like Metcalf enough to say that I think that would obviously benefit Russell Wilson's fantasy numbers the more that
Mm.
Metcalf touches the ball, just for
Yeah, you know what? I tend to agree. We have an interesting question from the man Jason Petropoulos. He is asking Juwan Jennings or Darius Layton, half
LOL.
PPR. I mean, yeah, that is a very LOL question. But I think I'm going Slayton here.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think this is just like a random thought, but I'm almost positive Jawan Jennings is the number one trending wide receiver on Sleeper right now.
I believe you.
Yeah. um, I I mean, this is obviously a stealing play. Like you're not playing for their floor. Like neither one of them have a safe production floor.
Now, hold on. I mean, I wouldn't call it a safe floor, but Darius Layton is probably what wide receiver two right now in with the Giants and playing Miami. I think that qualifies as at least three target floor. So that's more
Okay,
than I
well
can
that
say for Jennings.
I mean, I think that we're just agreeing in a different language then,
For sure,
because
for sure.
I think Slayton is also the ceiling play. Like, I think he's also the one that if you're searching between those two guys, like like adding a MVS off of waivers or whatever. Like, if you're
Mm.
looking for who out of here can give me 18 points, because obviously you're not just looking for safety.
Yeah,
And I
not at
mean,
this
if you
point.
are, it again, it's probably Slayton like that. He has the most guaranteed option for targets.
Yeah, yeah. At this point, I was just looking at the last week. I know Debo was in for the last week, but Juwan Jennings was not that great, and now he gets the tough matchup that are the Seahawks against the wide receiver, which is surprising because they suck against the running back. So yeah, that's a balance that you have to take into account when making these decisions. And I know Jennings is plugging in for Debo, who's inactive this week, but Shepard and Tony are also inactive this week. So Slayton is putting in that wide receiver two role for the Giants against a terrible defense. So that's who I'm going with.
Yeah, and like Kittle is still healthy, and
Yeah, Ayuk.
Sheffield is still healthy. Yeah, like there's people ahead of Jennings already on the depth chart that aren't good options. So he's yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then I mean, he got 3 targets last game. Kyle Juszczyk got 2 targets last game. So, you know, the Seahawks are bad against the receiving running back. That's why I picked
I
up Kyle Juszczyk in a league.
Juice is a sneaky play this week.
Yeah, I have him.
I 100% agree. Actually, I genuinely think Juice is a sneaky play. I mean, Juice is a sneaky play any week because you're just playing a fullback that could potentially give you 13 points.
That's
Like,
insane. Insane.
yeah. So
Yeah, in this particular league, I think I had to find a sub for Swift and McKissick, which both went down last week, as some of you may know. All of you should already know. So I needed this emergency sub. The waiver wire was depleted, so I went with Juice against the Seahawks defense that sucks against the receiving running back, as McKissick highlighted last week. So best of luck to me, I guess. And Darius Layton is your answer, Jason,
yeah,
in case
Slayton
we
J.
didn't make
Sorry,
that clear.
Slayton.
We just went off there. But yeah, I mean, it's we're getting at this point of the season where it truly is crunch time. So the show becomes a little bit more relevant because it's not only crunch time for Sunday, it's crunch time for the entire season. Uh, Charles asks, how do you guys feel about Henderson on the wire? There are many guys in the 4PA games to fill in. He's out. I have Gainwell in now. Don't love that, but I'm not sure if eliminating Henderson is better than Gainwell.
If
This is a
Henderson
tough.
is if Henderson, wait, is he saying that Daryl Henderson is on the wire?
No, he has Henderson, and
Okay,
there
got
are
it.
many guys on the order, like the 4 p.m. for a plugin.
Right, right. I see. I get it now.
Hmm,
I'm up to speed.
there you go.
Hmm. Unlimited Henderson is better than Gainwell.
I
I think
mean,
Unlimited
Gainwell.
Henderson
Oh
is
man,
probably better than Gainwell.
yes, probably, but well, I would love to see the options in the waiver wire because we were just talking about use check. Is use check someone you would start as an emergency thing over Henderson if he doesn't play? Well, I mean over Gainwell
Over
rather.
Gainwell, yeah, yeah. I definitely would.
Hmm, there you
100%.
go.
I mean, I don't know. Kenny
I mean,
Gainwell is such a
and just as a extra, San Francisco plays in the late slate, so you can monitor the Daryl Henderson situation while holding Kyle Juszczyk, who's probably available. Let's be honest, no one's picking up fullbacks, so you can have him, hold him, analyze the situation, and if Henderson doesn't go, I'm not too sad about starting Juszczyk. It's not ideal, but if you want to hold on to that situation, he's a quality plugin, I think.
yeah. I think. I mean, for all we know, I guess there could be better options than Juice, but especially just for
Yeah,
that,
for
like
sure.
that theory of being able to have a player in the lineup up until that
Yeah.
1:05 p.m. start. Like I like that I guess philosophy of building your lineup with
Hmm.
insurance. So yeah, I mean, I do like that just for the specific like game start time. Also again like to reiterate, like I do like Juice as a sneaky running back
Yeah,
play some
exactly.
weeks. Like I'm not opposed to it. There's literally no other fullback in the league that I would say like you can flex him.
Absolutely
So
not.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's more than a fullback at this point because he's getting targets out of the backfield. I mean, he out targeted Jeff Wilson last week.
Oh yeah. After that end zone drop, I can understand why.
Yeah, and like I said, they're getting a very soft defense against the receiving running back this week. So in a pinch, use check is not the worst. He's asking a follow up. Going off that, Juice Check is available. Is he better than Henderson and Gainwell? He's better than Gainwell,
Yeah,
in
I
my
agree.
opinion. But if Henderson turns out to be active, since they're both late game players, you can switch Henderson in without any problems. Gainwell would lock your lineup, so that's terrible. So we don't know who else is available on the waiver wire. It could be someone that's better than Juszczyk. But for now, just as things stand and with the info we have, Juszczyk is better than Gainwell, and he allows you to switch in Henderson if possible at last minute. So, yep. Good luck with that, Charles. We have another one from John. He says, need a flex, full PPR. Jacoby Myers, Cortland Sutton. We answered very similar earlier.
Yeah.
Daryl Henderson, DJ Dallas,
And
Quez
against
Watkins, or Juwan Jennings.
That starts getting. I almost think, like, in all honesty, I
Hmm.
almost think it's written in the correct order of starting.
Oh, all right.
But I don't like any Patriots, so I would flip Sutton for Myers. I would start Sutton over Henderson if Henderson doesn't play, Dallas over
Hmm.
Watkins, and Watkins over Juwan Jennings.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't want to start Juwan Jennings. Let's just begin with
Yeah.
that. Maybe that last question then got him scared. But yeah, I think I agree with starting Cortland Sutton. Just looking at the numbers, Cortland Sutton and Jacoby Myers are averaging this exact same amount of points per game so far. So that's kind of crazy because I think the narrative has been Cortland Sutton is dust and Jacoby Myers is doing great things, but they're averaging the exact same amount of full PPR points so far. And Casey is a better matchup than Buffalo. So
Yeah.
that's probably the tiebreaker right there.
And I mean, a healthy Henderson obviously would just supplant all of these guys, but that's not,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah,
not what
absolutely.
we're working with. And I do, yeah, I think that's the order. Is I would favor Myers, even though I hate the matchup, a little more than DJ Dallas.
Hmm.
Favor Dallas over Watkins, Watkins over Jennings. Yeah.
Now we do have something interesting here because the Jacoby Myers and Cortland Sutton both play Sunday night and Monday night. So there's
Oh
theoretically
yeah, yeah.
time to assess if you want to start Darrell Henderson beforehand. Would you consider that?
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. So if Darrell
Because
Henderson goes,
for me,
you're
then it
starting
would come
Henderson.
down to, yeah. For me, then it would come down to Sutton or Henderson, and I think I would still lean a limited Henderson
Mm,
over Sutton.
mm,
I
I
mean,
like that.
we were saying it earlier. Like, I really like Sutton, but the reality is like these last 6 weeks have just been perennial disappointment, and he has no signs of showing that early season life again, especially with
For sure.
Judy back in the lineup. So yeah, yeah, it's Henderson over Sutton, even if Henderson is limited, but Sutton over everybody else otherwise, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think John, you have a special situation here because those are both late guys. So you can monitor the Darrell Henderson situation. If by 4 p.m. or well earlier, rather when we get the news, he is declared out, then you can plug in Cortland Sutton. If he is declared in, roll with Henderson because Sutton and Jacoby Myers are not great options. And like you just mentioned, the weather in Buffalo is not ideal.
It's terrible.
So, like Matt has been saying all show that he's fading all Patriots for this game, especially. So, yeah, that's where we stand. If Henderson goes, go with Henderson. If he doesn't, plug in Sutton, and you're nice until Sunday night. So that's the current question. I mean, the current answer. So good luck with that, John. Hopefully, we make the right decision and the process leads to results. Enjoy the games. Man, some tough questions. This one has been great for discussion, and the one we had with Gage and Sutton earlier was also interesting.
Yeah, that one I'm still like in my head rolling about that. Like that, yeah, that's a really tough one.
Yeah. He says even the running backs. We talked a little bit about this, and in standard scoring leagues, for example, we would start Damien Harris, but PPR makes it tough.
Mhm.
And then I don't hate starting, say Bolden or Stevenson if you have to, but it's still the Buffalo Bills defense, so and it's kind of tough, you know. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And something about Harris, I think I forgot, or I guess I forgot to mention when we were getting that previous question is like since he returned from that 1 game absence, it's
Mm.
been a locked in timeshare. He in those 2 games or 2.5 games or whatever, I suppose, he has two more snaps, just two more
Oof.
snaps than
Look at
Bolden
that.
than Bolden and Ramondre. Like
Hey,
that's it. And on like the usage side, or I guess like the scheme side of things, is Bolden has more receptions than Harris, and
interesting.
uh, and Ramondre has more carries, but
Mm.
Harris has one more touch than both of them.
Crazy.
So like
What a
that's
split.
about as yeah, that's about as tight of a committee as you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, if we look at only at last week, we see that Damon Harris was the leader in snaps by a slim margin, like you said, 2 snaps, and then the rushing It was almost identical for both Ramondre and Harris. So
Yeah,
man, this is ugly.
it's turned really ugly. And from where Damian Harris, I guess, kind of opened the season and started out as like a solid high
Started out hot.
RB2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and I mean, it's pretty clear, like the Patriots or Bill or whoever is setting those schemes up, like they like Ramondre, like they
They
put him
do.
in very like short goal line, third down and three, like they put him in important situations.
Man, the Patriots backfield is something that I always try to avoid when it comes to fantasy because it's always confusing. If it's not Rex Burkhead and James White, it's Ramondre Stevenson and Brandon Bolden and Jakob Johnson. Or I mean, where do these guys come from? So it's
And,
just
and the Patriots backfield has always been like this. I mean, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
James White was a PPR stud for X amount of years, but it's always forever and always it's been, you
yeah.
know, Corey Dillon and three other scrubs. It was, you know, it was uh
Sonny
Blunt
Michelle,
and
Rex
yeah, yeah,
Burkhead, and
like
James
yeah,
White.
it's always been so. Bill loves a committee.
Yeah, they have a specific way of doing things in New England when it comes to running backs, and it does not necessarily translate well for fantasy. Let me tell
No,
you. So that's a tough, and like we went on a tangent here, but that's the story with Patriots running backs and against the Buffalo Bills. Forget about it. So I'm just not starting them. He says, "Tough one. Thanks, boys. You're welcome, John.
oh cheers, man.
Good luck with that." Um, Man, that we have some great questions today. It's some people have some tough questions, and I guess it makes sense because it's
It's
just a win now.
right, exactly. It's getting to that point of the season too, where I mean, kind of like you saw with Will, is like the I guess like the contenders have separated from the pretenders, and you're
Mm.
starting to see like also some just really tough like this like you know this stud or this stud, which is almost harder than than some of those like middling flex
Yeah,
decisions
yeah.
when it's like I have two top 12 wide receivers, I can start one of them, and I need this win.
You're probably all right if you have
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
decision. So, uh, man, yeah, but oof, this is when fantasy gets intense.
yeah.
This starting week 13 going forward is the real when that separates the real players from the players that just do it casually. John asks thoughts on the Titans backfield going forward. Another one, another interesting topic when it comes to backfields. Honestly,
Hilliard and no one else. I think that's my
yeah, I mean, you don't want to start Foreman ever. Maybe in a standard league you consider him, but half PPR, full PPR is not a factor. But honestly, you want to start Hilliard either. He broke a long one last time
six.
after
Yeah,
I advised in the show not to really start him. So that's on me. But yeah, it was I think 40 yards and a touchdown. That's a 10-point play if it
I think it
was
was.
a
I
rushing
think it was
play. If
like
it was
56.
say 56 yards and a touchdown, if it was
Just
PPR,
yeah,
that's 12.6 points, man. One play. So it's just that may be driving some people to believe that he is a decent option going forward, when in fact it may have been more luck than anything else. Because if you look at the splits, he played 51% of the snaps, and Donta Foreman played 49% of the snaps. So that's about as an even split as it can get.
hmm
Now, rushing, Hilliard got 35% of the rushes, and Foreman got 55.9% of the rushes, which is uh, just a big difference when it comes. But then you look at the targets, and Hilliard got 9.5% of the targets, which is two, and Don Foreman won 4.8% of the targets, which is one target. So you honestly you don't want either of them. Completely honest, not worth it.
yeah,
Some
yeah.
people,
I guess yeah. I'll stand by what I've said there. Like I mean, I don't. Yeah, they're not like I'm not looking to add either. I don't really feel comfortable starting either in a flex spot on any given week. But yeah, I think I guess for what we saw last Sunday is like I prefer Hilliard for the big play upside.
that's true. That's true. If you had to pick one of them, I would agree that Hilliard is the play. I don't want nothing to do with Foreman. But if there are other options, I'm likely not rostering Hilliard unless it's a very deep league or a lot of running backs requirement or something like that, because it's just not someone you want to start week in week out.
Right.
But yeah, uh, some. I mean, the injuries just make confusing situations even worse. Like Derrick Henry is in. This is not even a question that crosses your mind. Derrick Henry is the Titans' backfield, right? So
Right.
injuries are a bad part of fantasy, but they also make it just more
And that,
complicated.
I mean, I said it about the Patriots this week, but it's really getting to a point for me too, as far as a manager. Like I'm prepared to fade the entire Titans offense moving forward.
Interesting.
Like I mean, I don't like I'm not going to waste a roster spot on Marcus Johnson for, that potential like one big game. I don't want anything to do with that backfield.
Mm.
Tannehill, the once ever loved true value king, is just got no weapons to to utilize anymore. Their strength of schedule isn't overly inviting either for the rest of the season. So yeah, that's a really tough one. And I like Tanny, and I've rostered him all
Me
season,
too, man.
and he's unfortunately in some spots he has to be my starting quarterback, but
Mm.
obviously don't feel great about it. And again, like getting to that territory where I'm just might just start streaming over him.
Yeah, I mean, depends on what type of league. If you have him in a super flex league, you're pretty
I,
much screwed because there's not
you
gonna
have
be
to,
any streamers.
of
So
course.
we have a question from James Walsh, who asks, I have Kelsey at tight end, a Lamb, and Godwin a wide receiver. Cook out, have Eckler our running back, need a flex play. Gronk or Renfro?
Full
And that's an
PPR.
interesting question.
Yeah,
It says
man,
full
Gronk
PPR.
is yeah.
If you can drop the scoring there, that may be helpful. But this is a very interesting question
Have
because
Kelsey. Yeah, it's
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 uncommon.
PPR. PPR.
Ah, PPR.
Um,
What did I miss that? Oh yeah, flex PPR. You're right. You're right. What do you
yeah,
think?
that's a tough one. I think just like off before I like overanalyze it, I think it's Renfro off the top of my head.
I think so too.
I almost think they're like you're essentially getting the same like floor of volume as Gronk's ceiling of volume from Renfro.
Mm,
Like Gronk's ceiling of volume is 8 targets. Like that's
yeah.
that's a lot of targets for Gronk in a game, and that's essentially what Renfro averages.
Yeah, pretty much. I think if you didn't know which position played each player, you'd think they are very similar in style
Yeah, that's true.
and production because the numbers line up. Of
Seven
course,
for
it's
75 and a touchdown sometimes.
yeah, exactly. Of
Yeah,
course, it's going to be more different in real life, but in production terms, which is what matters for fantasy, I think they're equal. And it also comes back to what we talked about, the Washington football team matchup that the Raiders have.
yeah,
That's very good for wide receivers. So that's something I'm very interested in for Renfro. Atlanta is not tough on tight ends per se, but they're also not soft. So that's the tiebreaker for me because they're pretty much equal, and I'm going with Renfro. He's been very hard to sit recently.
yeah. I completely agree. And on that note, too, now that I just pulled it up, like the Falcons' defense is pretty soft everywhere except for tight
Tight
ends.
ends. There you go.
Yeah, they only average 9.4 points per game to the position, minus 10.5% over the average. So
Oof,
like
negative. Yeah.
22nd matchup rank. So like the Falcons' one position that they can defend seemingly is the tight end.
So yeah, it's not like last week where they had just about the softest matchup
They
possible
the
for tight
easiest
ends.
possible
Yeah,
matchup. Yeah,
that
the
that's a
Colts
different
just
thing.
yeah.
Now they get an actually tough, below average matchup because they have negative points over average, as we saw on the BRoto app. You can download the Fantasy Football by BRoto app and look at all of these stats for free. So go ahead and do that. And but yeah,
Yeah.
just Renfro.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that matchup a lot, especially if you're just doing like the simple calculations of defensive points over average.
Mm,
Then Gronk, if and I know that it's actually not quite the same, but if they average the same amount of points, then Gronk's points per average get a decline and Renfro's get an increase.
Yeah, I think Gronk averages a little bit more. So, but the decline just takes him under what Renfro would average, and then Renfro has a points over average positive, so brings him a little bit to the top. So that's where I'm standing right now. I think the situation is right for Renfro. But that also brings me to the point, just in different, completely different tangent. So James, that's our answer. But Djax, is he a valuable or a viable play this week
Oh, I think
against the
so.
Washington football team?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was kind of famously burned myself,
Mm,
uh, like taking all of his unders and fading
mm,
them everywhere, and then literally one snap into the game, like just blew the, like, I mean, he's been
yep.
doing that to the Cowboys his entire career. But especially against Washington, I mean, that secondary has more holes in it than almost any team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And yeah, and his snap percentages and everything have been increased. It's not just a decoy anymore. I mean, as unfortunate as it is, like, he really is just taking over Henry Ruggs' role. Like that's
Yeah.
he's starting to play that many amount of snaps on the outside. And yeah, like, he's not ever going to be that, have that floor that he had with his ceiling, but I mean, he can
Yeah.
clearly still burn anybody for 56 and a TD and 12 and a half
For sure.
points.
For sure.
Yeah, I would,
Especially in a matchup like this.
yeah, I would very much consider flexing Djax this week.
Interesting. All right, we have a couple interesting questions coming up. Tristan asks, need a flex for full PPR. Renfro, who we were talking about, James Robinson, Mike Williams, or Van Jefferson. Robinson is expected to play, questionable, but
Okay, thank
expected
you.
to play.
That's
So
what I kind of couldn't. Yeah. Uh, hmm, Robinson, Mike.
probably Renfro again, right? Or
Yeah, process of elimination is like, I'm just gonna not start Mike Williams or Van Jefferson over those two guys.
yeah,
So it's
Mike
I
Williams is. I consider Mike Williams, Van Jefferson not so much, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have Renfro, who has been maintaining the same level of production pretty much all year, as of Mike instead of Mike Williams, who started out very hot and then just kind of cooled down recently. He's still a very decent option. People again overreacted and are calling him a bust now, which is kind of crazy. He's not, but Renfro still has that edge, especially in PPR.
Yeah, I think that's. I kind of forgot who the Jaguars play for a second. They play the Rams this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. Yeah. I think so. That I like Renfro's floor. I like that potential scoring ceiling as well. I mean, he's going to be the
yeah,
number one.
yeah.
He's going to be the number one pass catching option against the worst pass catching defense. So
I
that's
don't think the Washington is the worst, but they're close.
they're okay.
Yeah, they might.
Fair enough.
I think they're top five against the wide receiver. Let me just check real quick. Get you all the right info. Washington. They're top 10 in
Okay,
worst.
actually better than they're doing a bit better than I expected. I guess
Yeah,
it's that
yeah.
it's the they're also propensity for quarterback, like they give up quite a bit of
Oh
rushing
yeah.
or rushing production to quarterbacks. Yeah. Yeah, I like Renfro this week everywhere. He's a solid wide receiver too for me, with upside. Robinson again, like that whole, like, Robinson being limited in practice and not getting a full one in, that doesn't encourage me.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
That's just a little bit of like kind of, I
I
guess,
agree.
it's just like a bit of I mean, the matchup isn't too scary. Like, the Rams have a good defense, but they're weak specifically against the run. But yeah, it's Renfro for me. Mike Williams is Mike Williams again. Like that, those first 4 weeks were an aberration. That is
But
that.
he's still decent.
Yes.
Mike Williams is decent. Not the
Yes.
stud everybody wanted to believe
No.
was the dynasty wide receiver one at the end of at the start of the season, but yeah, you need to readjust your expectations without overcorrecting, which is what a lot of people have done. They now consider Mike Williams. Oh no, I'm not going to start him after the past couple of weeks. When it's just this overreaction because he has not been unstartable by any means.
No. It's just he's not. I mean, and he's not seeing 15 targets a game anymore.
Yeah, also
Like
that.
that, and if he were, I'm pretty certain that he could be putting up those wide receiver one numbers.
Oh
But
yeah,
as soon as the volume dropped, so did all of the production, because as we've known for years, it's not like Mike Williams is the most efficient with his touches.
no, not at all. And it's not like they just decided to stop throwing him the ball. There is some inherent things that wide receivers have. I did a study in the offseason that wide receivers are responsible for their own target share. So if his target share has gone down to what he has average season target career, we can just chalk up those first few games to an outlier, and he is back to getting the target share that he always gets. So that makes sense.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Mike Williams has always been a decent NFL
Yeah,
player.
yeah.
It's been injury concerns and like that have kept him from being that.
Mhm.
I can just slot him into my lineup every week.
For sure, for sure. Now we have another question. Good luck with that, Tristan. Hopefully we make the right
Yeah, I
decision.
like Renfro.
We have great guy JJ Warner in the chat. He asks Cooks, Crowder, Myers, or Parker. I know my answer. I don't know if you.
I, yeah, I know your answer too.
Oh yeah, you do. Of course you do. Of course you do.
um,
The
yeah,
question is,
yeah.
do you agree with
I
my answer?
Yep, I think I do. Yes, absolutely. It's a fade for Crowder and Myers for me. Devontae in his first game back in however long is I'm not starting him. Yeah, it's Brandon Cooks for sure. It's Brandon Cooks for floor, for volume, for ceiling.
Yeah, the only concern was that he was in the injury report and listed as questionable
That yeah,
all
yeah,
week.
yeah. Hmm.
But if he goes, he goes. So
Right, and I mean, like, again, like, is did David Johnson get listed as out for sure?
yeah, Johnson is out for
So
sure.
there's some more targets too that are potentially coming his way in the short game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
like
like.
Cooks.
I mean, I like not as much as you, but I like Brandon Cooks on any given week on that offense. Just the results have not necessarily been following as of late, but he did have a big game again recently. Yeah, yeah, I like Cooks. Matchup's not like terrifying. I like Cooks.
Yeah, I mean that's terrifying. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah, you may not know this, JJ, but I've been proponing Cooks for a while now. He was my buy low a couple weeks ago after he had a terrible game. Then the bye week, then he had another bad game, which was a little concerning. But he's back to form. I think he's gonna get you 10 to 12 points maybe on a weekly basis, and yeah, there's really not a lot to it. He's good. He plays the Colts, who are not particularly shut down against wide receivers. So I think he has a pretty decent matchup and an opportunity this week and going forward.
I think it may have just recently like turned over with a couple big plays, but the Colts were allowing the most big pass plays in the
Oh,
NFL
yeah.
at
I
one
mean,
point.
like I said, it was an understatement when I said they were in the toughest. They're not ninth in points allowed to wide receivers. So that this is a good matchup for them.
Yeah,
The Colts
yeah,
defense is just not good,
and I
man.
get yeah, yeah. Well, it's just that secondary especially. I mean, yeah, the most big plays to receivers in the so I guess most 20 over 20 air yards or whatever to receivers in the NFL, and that's
For
where
sure.
Cooks just thrives as he gets past that second level. And
Yeah. Uh, hey, thank you for tuning in, JJ. Hopefully it does. It leads to some good decisions and starts it. That's always the goal. So good luck with that. For anyone that still wants to ask a question, we have just under 10 minutes left.
uh,
It just goes by so fast. We have one question from Twitter actually that I'm fielding here from the other live stream, and he asks, non PPR flex spot Barkley, Kirk, or Breida fighting for the playoffs against a high scoring team.
so standard league.
Yeah,
Uh,
standard.
yeah, Saquon.
Sagon. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for
I think
sure.
I have to agree there, especially in standard, because for some reason they're not getting him the ball in the passing game a lot, which is weird because he is a monster with just out of screens and in the receiving game. But yeah, standards especially, I'm going Saquon.
Yeah, I always like to. I mean, always favor running backs in standard. Just like you're looking. I mean, yards and touchdown production. Obviously, receptions don't really mean anything. So yeah, I think yards from scrimmage would favor Saquon, and I think the opportunity for touchdowns would also favor Saquon. Although Christian Kirk is
Absolutely.
getting a lot of red zone targets.
Yeah, if it was PPR, maybe I'd go with Kirk, but in standard, running backs are king.
No, yeah,
So
yeah, 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 and I mean it is Saquon with Mike Glennon at quarterback too. So even without the reception
check
bonus,
down city, baby.
exactly those extra yards from checkdowns are going to be
Oh
very
yeah,
valuable.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I like
We
that.
have time for maybe one or two more questions. We have one from Joe Arias. He says, "Buenos dias, Broto. Full PPR, pick two, Renfro, Pittman, or Javante or Jamal Williams, man, because that's big difference
Well, okay, if it's, I mean, I think that's kind of an easier. If it's Javante, then it's Javante and Renfro, right?
for
Like
sure,
that's what
for
you,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If it's Jamal, are you going Renfro and Pittman?
yes,
Okay, interesting.
yeah. I think
Yeah, I think
a full PVR with that, yeah. I mean, Pittman's been getting bracketed a lot and has been having trouble beating doubles, but against, yeah, yeah, I like Pittman always. And then we've been over
especially
Renfro.
this week.
Yes, yeah, and we've
Yeah,
been
it
over
is Jamal,
Renfro
by
in
the
this.
way.
Okay, then yeah, it's
So
red.
Renfro and Pittman.
Yeah, that would be my choice.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with that because Jamal. I mean, I love him as a player and then as a person,
Well,
and
oh
I
yeah,
was a big Jamal guy all off season. I thought he was gonna eat into the Swift's work a little bit more than he actually did. Well, at the start of the
I think we all
season,
did.
we saw the split that I imagined all along, but it just didn't. Wasn't sustainable because Swift is great. But so that said, we've seen that he isn't terribly efficient with his touches. So now that he gets a full workload, he's not gonna be Swift, right? So Renfro and Pittman still get an edge over him. Well,
Yep,
there
I
you go,
totally
Joe.
agree.
Good luck with that. So shout out Joe, man. He's always on Twitter with BRoto, always in crunch time. Great guy. So yeah, that's our answer. We have time for one more question. If anyone has anything for us, last minute question. Quite literally, we have an hour until games. So and you know
Flew
what
by.
I love about this show, because we discuss all of these players. I get my thoughts in order, and then I can log out and then make all my starset decisions based on all that we discussed. Because now I see things clearly after all
Yeah,
this hour
yeah.
and a half.
This is I was gonna say it before we logged off too, but this show is just as beneficial for me as it is for
Oh yeah,
everybody watching for sure.
yeah. It gives us a space to just get things in order and get discussion, because always you don't always think you have the best decision. You want a second opinion. So if we're bouncing ideas off of each other, we can see things that maybe we didn't see before, and therefore make better
Absolutely.
decisions.
Yeah.
So this is just a fantastic show. That's why I don't do this show alone. One, because it's more fun with people, and two, because I think it leads to a better product when we have 2 points of view and we have this discussion points that we can make.
Yeah, because like I guess even when we do on the rare occasion do disagree on a start sit, it's that presenting of all of the options
Oh, absolutely,
that
yeah.
you know what I mean. That and more often than not, I'm especially watching like I'm get convinced, hearing both sides, and then you can be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, my narrative is clearly slanted. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I think that that's great too, and I like it when we. I mean, I know it's not the best product for people asking, but I like it when we don't agree, but we can present both sides of the issue, and they can make a more informed decision after we both played our case. So that's we get the all of the arguments out there, and they can make the decision they think was more convincing based on our argument. So it's just beneficial for all. All right, so it looks like no more questions are coming in. To everyone tuned in and is watching live right now, I think we have 6 viewers on YouTube, a couple more on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. We love answering them. This is the first time we do 1 hour and a half. We started at 10:30 Eastern this time instead of 11. So let me know on Twitter or in the comments right now if you want to keep the hour and a half, you want to go back to 1 hour. This is a ton of fun for me. Thank you to Matt Ward for joining me as the co-host this week. And man,
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah,
where
always a
can they
good
find
time.
you if they want to see more of your stuff?
You can find me on every social media platform at PsychWardFF. Yeah, all of them. Twitter, lead writer at BRoto, staff writer at Dynasty Fantasy Football Factory. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
where I'm
So
at.
that was Matt Ward. I'm Santiago Casanova, and thank you for tuning in. This is